tell me why, to a person in this room, we all responded positively to the Ninth Symphony and somewhat more anxiously to the Fifth Symphony? Tell me one thing. Okay, major and minor. Now, once again, you're out here in front. You've been listening to your parents' records and CDs, and so maybe I'm delighted that you know this, but maybe this is too far below what your dignity here. So, but good for you. All right. So we've got this idea of major chords and minor chords. So let me ask you this. Which, I think this is a quiz question here, probably number 5. Which is this, a major chord or a minor chord? As opposed to? The first one is a minor chord. The second one is a major chord. We could call them triads, and we'll be talking about what that is before. So that's one reason, major versus minor. Here's a question for you. What about this? Let me take the rhythm out of it. That's a bit skippy, isn't it? Doesn't that move around a lot? Whereas if I take the rhythm out of the Ninth Symphony, Beethoven there is just going up and down a scale. So it's very conjunct. We have the difference between conjunct music with the and disjunct music. And that perhaps adds to the unsettled quality of the Beethoven Fifth Symphony. Here's something else, and I guess it's a quiz question I think I'm asking you there. It has to do about a home pitch. Music gravitates around a home pitch. And in the Beethoven Fifth Symphony, we still haven't gotten the home pitch. We go that far, we still haven't heard the home pitch. Can anybody sing the home pitch? Bum. But he hasn't given it to us. And maybe that's why this sounds so disjunct and so unsettled, apart from the skippy nature of the melody, is that we are not given at the outset the home pitch. Whereas with the Ninth Symphony, second phrase, that's the home pitch there, and we all feel sort of secure in that home pitch. There's another reason I think these two sound differently, and that is the following. What's the direction generally of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony here? Down. It's generally going down. So the direction that music goes can also affect how we feel about it, our mood about it. So I think the next question, I play another piece for you. I'm going to play this on the piano a little bit. And I ask you the name of the composer of this piece. It's a bit less well known, but maybe not. What it's called and when in the history of music it was written. Anybody know that piece? The name of the composer? Yeah? Okay, Debussy, a French composer writing at the end of the 19th century in the Impressionist style. And the piece is called Moonlight, Clair de Lune. But again, you'll come out of this course. 4 months from now, you'll know all of this stuff. Now, you're not supposed to know any of this. What I'm interested in is your emotional response to this. How do you feel about this music? What kind of mood does it put you in? How do you feel about that? Anybody want to tell me about that? I beg your pardon? Whoops, I heard nice and loud, please. Serene, yeah, serene. Why does it feel serene? Boy, I wish I could play my Rave Till Dawn CD now, right? Okay, there's no beat to it, all right? It's very languid in terms of the pulse here. It's very understated in terms of a beat. You'd be hard-pressed to identify what the meter of that is. So that's one reason. And of course, where am I going with the next important point about what's happening in this music that makes us feel serene, relaxed? Because it's all going down. And only when we get here do our spirits soar upward at that particular point, So again, direction in music also is important with how we respond to it. So what have we gone over here? Major versus minor, disjunct versus conjunct, what else? Strongly felt tonal key, which is called, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, the tonic key, the tonic pitch there, and this idea of the direction of the music. All of these we'll have to be thinking about as we listen to music in this course. Okay, now let's see. I think I want to do the following. Yeah. Here's a question for you. Completely different subject here. What are the two dimensions of music? Think about dimensions of painting or architecture, perhaps. But what are the two dimensions of music? Ever thought about that? Can anybody give me one? Well, pitch. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, pitch. And what would the other one be? Time. Okay, pitch and time, or pitch and duration. Excellent. So those are the two dimensions of music, and we could even call them the axes of music, because we tend to think of pitch on a vertical axis. We talk in terms of high pitch and low pitch, although we'll fine-tune that next time. And then we have this idea of duration, or time, which we tend to write out in symbols that move from your left to right. So what I'd like to do now is focus on a piece that emphasizes, foregrounds just the first axis, pitch. And here is a question for you. How many of you have heard Richard Strauss's Also sprach Zarathustra? Okay, how many, be courageous here, how many have not heard Richard Strauss's Also sprach Zarathustra? Raise your hand nice and big. Okay, the overwhelming majority of people. Wrong. You all have heard this many times. It's used continuously as a movie score, television, radio commercials. It's all over the place. And as soon as I start to play it, at least once we get into it, you'll say, oh yeah, I've heard that. So this is a piece by Strauss where he's trying to resurrect the content or mirror the content of a philosophical novel by Friedrich Nietzsche, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And it's about the unleashing of human capacity as it comes forth from the primordial earth here. And Strauss, in attempting to do this, will use the orchestra to depict here, in this particular case, perhaps the rise of human power, maybe as metaphorically represented by the sun. So here is Strauss depicting the rise of the sun. And the first question I think you have on the quiz here is the following. What keyboard instrument is playing here? It's a keyboard instrument. So let's listen to just a little bit of this, please, Linda. Okay, let's stop there. Because of the condition of the amplifier this morning, you can't really hear what that is. What that is an organ pipe of the type of organ that we have over in Woolsey Hall. 32 feet tall, this gigantic sound of whoa down there. So that's what he's trying to set up. Okay? Then a brass instrument enters. And what is the name of this brass instrument? Yeah, go ahead. Then a percussion instrument. Okay, let's stop it there. Let's stop it there. So the brass instrument is a trumpet. Okay, that's what that is. It's coming up there. Let's talk about what we've got on the board here. We can see we have these low pitches. Bum, bum. What did I just sing? Bum, bum. Almost the same sounding pitch, right? Well, we'll talk about this. This is called an octave. It has to do with frequency ratios that we'll go into a little bit next time. So he's coming up initially just through octave. Bum. Then the next pitch on the trumpet, yum, bum, bum. It's actually an interval of a fifth. Yum, bum. That's a fourth, bum. But it happens to produce an octave, bum, bum, against that. Then the first time, bum, ba, dee. So he came up a major third there, and then quickly backed off with just a half step below it, which completely gave it a different feel to it. Bright, shiny major, and then dark minor. Yata. Then a percussion instrument came in. Anybody know what that was? Okay, tell me what it was. Nice and loud, yell it out there. Timpani, or sometimes called a kettle drum. And it was playing two different pitches. Actually, it's sort of playing this pitch and this pitch, the octave and then the fifth. The fifth degree of the scale after the tonic is the next most important. And it's called the dominant note, okay? So that's what that is in that particular question. So the timpani comes in and it goes crazy. Bum, 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 and comes back to the tonic, at which point the trumpet takes over again. So let's listen to just a little bit more, and I think, well, let's listen. I forget where we left off. Okay, let's stop it here. Now at this point, what happens is the trumpet, bum, la, all the way up there. It's going to jump way, way up. So let's listen to that. Okay, let's stop it right here. What's happening, and it interests me acoustically, again we'll come back to it, is that we're getting up toward here. And notice how these pitches in terms of the ratio frequencies are getting very close together. So we're going to go yum, bum. You sing the next note. Bum, there it is up there. Okay, good, you got it. Come on, louder. Bum, coraggio. Okay, so there we are there. My question on the quiz is, what's this one called? Ya, bum. Okay, so this is a leading tone going into that particular note. So let's listen to here again, just the very end of this with the spectacular sound of the orchestra. At the end, you could hear the organ a little bit better. So that's how, using some of these basic ratios, he gives us this primordial type of music. And it's quite spectacular. It's quite spectacular because here in the 1890s, we have the apex of the Western Classical Orchestra, this big, beautiful, powerful instrument. Okay, we've talked a little bit about pitch here. Let's go on to talk about the other axis of music, and that is rhythm or duration. Now, in music, as you probably know, we've already talked a little bit about this, we have the importance of the beat. Beat's very important in music. And generally speaking, in music, we divide the beat we organize it into groups. Beats kind of like the heartbeats, kind of like the basic pulse of bum, 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 bum. But given our psychological makeup, we tend to divide these up into units of generally 2 and generally 3. And if we have groups of 2, we call that duple meter. Groups of 3, we call that, of course, triple meter. How do we indicate these? Well, by some kind of conducting pattern. We'll come back to this. You'll all be conducting in here. So the duple is just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, bum, 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 bum. 1 strong beat, 1 weak beat. Strong, weak, in that fashion. And conversely, of course, triple is strong, weak, strong, weak, with 2 weak beats between each strong beat. So here's a question for you. Who wrote the musical? It's on your quiz there. Chicago. Anybody know the answer to that? Okay. How many don't know? A rousing show of hands here. Don't know who wrote Chicago. This is amazing to me. This guy is the stealth bomber of music. How nobody could know the name of this person that has given us so much great music. Cabaret, Chicago, songs that you go around singing, have in your ear all the time. John Kander lives down in New York City, writes a lot of this stuff. So we're going to listen to a track out of John Kander, Chicago here. And the question that's at play at the moment is, what's the meter of this cut from Chicago?